All right, hello and welcome to this week's edition of I'm Teaching You Remotely Now. Wow, look at that. All right, so we're going to talk about life under apartheid for those who were living during that time. Yep. All right, so life under apartheid, you can basically imagine, based off of all the laws that we've learned about and the previous lesson, that there was segregation in the way that they lived as well. So Afrikaners, which you remember are the Dutch descendants, the descendants of the Dutch people who came and colonized Africa. They're also, or South Africa, they're also the ones who are the majority rule, the ones in charge of the party right now. So they're the ones that lived in upscale neighborhoods because they're the ones with the power and they're the ones with the money and privilege. And all the apartheid laws that were created to serve those who were Afrikaners. So therefore, they lived in the upscale, the nice neighborhoods. The native Africans lived in the slums outside the city. They lived in tribes and Bantustans. Sorry. So over here, if you look at this map on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see, based on that Tribal Relocation Act and that law that made them be into these different tribal groups, that is what we are seeing over here is where they live, where the different tribes live. So that's where the Native Africans are located and centralized, are in these areas that we see over there. So the place where the Bantustans is the place where Native Africans lived. The aim and the ultimate goal of these is akin to the ghettos during the Holocaust. So we remember that the ghettos were meant to take people who lived somewhere else, the Jews, and relocate them to be in one centralized area in order to separate them from the population and isolate them because they're different. So not only can Native Africans not drink from the same fountain or go to the same places as Afrikaners or white people, but they literally must be separate physically as well, just to like tack onto the oppression and make it a little bit worse. So we see apartheid, the apartheid is done through laws and through physical location as well. So they were reservations for Native Africans to live. They were unable to leave without their passport. You can see down here in the bottom right, there's a picture of a man holding his passbook. It was also poor land quality and it was unfit for large populations, right? Just like the ghettos in the Holocaust. They were very small areas that were meant to fit a lot of people. But the infrastructure and everything that's set up around that is not set up to hold large populations, but they did it anyway. And 1.5 million South Africans lived in Bantustans. So back to the passport part, they had these papers that they had to carry everywhere with them. If they were caught without their papers, they'd get thrown in jail or sometimes worse. Eventually, the passports became one of the main ways that the apartheid government was able to imprison and hurt many colored and black South Africans. They made it harder and harder to have your papers straight. So, they'd say you have to have, your picture, your work document, and I don't know, something that proves that you live here. And then, they'd pull over, they'd find somebody with their passbook and they'd say, oh, but you don't have your most recent tax records. But nobody ever told them that they had to have their tax records. So it was things like that where they just made it harder and harder to be black or colored in South Africa. And that was done very intentionally. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a little pause.
Hi, I'm Rex Moore with the Motley Fool in front of BMW's self-driving exhibit at CES in Las Vegas.
Now, all right, well, before we start this, because the ads are going to be really long and it's the program that I'm in, I can't skip it. So Trevor Noah is a comedian that is from South Africa. He hosts The Daily Show, which is a Comedy Central program about current news events. In this video, we're going to see Trevor Noah go back to where his grandma lives, which is in present-day South Africa. Even after apartheid, she still lives in a Bantustan. A Bantustan. never quite. I learned how to say it one way and then the other way. You know, they're saying, I don't know. Anyway, so he is going to show us their home in South Africa where he grew up. It says here MTV Crib Style. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show, or if that's just, you know, something from when I was growing up. But it's supposed to be a little funny. One thing that's important to remember listening to this is that Trevor Noah's mom is Black and his dad is white. He's from European descent. So that means that Trevor Noah is what? Colored. Yes, I know that you said that. He's colored, which means that he's illegal. His existence is, because his mom and dad, you know, had him, and he's colored, and that wasn't allowed, as we learned from the assignment last week. So he's going to talk about what it was like growing up as a colored child in South Africa. Okay, I'm going to pause it again until these stupid commercials are over.
Partner of Motley Fool Stock Advisor felt it was time to offer a special.
All right, who knows if this is going to work? If it doesn't work, I'm terribly sorry. I'll link the video for you to watch in the comments. Here we go.